And showtime! Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the ChannelPro 5-Minute Roundup. Look at news, trends, and tips for the SMB channel in 5 minutes or thereabouts. My name is Rich Freeman. I'm one of your co-hosts. I'm joined by your other co-host, Eric Simpson, a business transformation and improvement advisor to MSPs and other IT providers. Eric, how you doing?
Doing well, Rich. Doing well. Everything is moving forward here. I'm so glad I'm in a climate that is not being impacted as some of our friends and colleagues are. In the east and northeast with this terrible weather. It's pretty crazy when you start losing power, like in we're hearing in Texas, and temperatures dropping below zero overnight. It's pretty wild. So I have nothing to complain about here in
Yeah,
California.
no, I'm right there with you. We actually got something like 8 to 10 inches of snow over the weekend in Seattle, which for us is a lot. There are like 3 snowplows in the entire city here, but it all melted away by Tuesday, and it has just been a brutal week, especially for Texas. And now I guess that's kind of headed out back east. But I mean, one of my colleagues at Channel Pro, our contributing editor James Gaskin, is in the Dallas area, and he was without power for something like 30 hours this week, and it's been very, very cold there. So, yeah, thoughts go out to the people who are still kind of dealing with that in Texas right now, and other folks back east who have it coming their way.
Here, here.
Alrighty then, though. Let's jump into our top story of the week. It comes to us from Lenovo, and it comes to us a little bit early. Actually, we're going to be talking here about something that isn't actually scheduled to arrive in market until the beginning of April, which is when the new fiscal year begins for Lenovo. But they're going to be making an addition to their partner program, specifically their partner program for data center infrastructure partners. That is going to enable those partners to purchase and then resell data center infrastructure as a service. So there's some premises behind this offering here. One is, of course, SMBs, like every other kind of business out there. They increasingly want to buy everything as a service. They're more interested in the operating expense consumption model versus the capital expense model. Another premise: there are plenty of MSPs out there who might actually like to sell compute and storage and networking to their clients on an as-a-service basis, and to do that not necessarily through a public cloud or even a private cloud infrastructure that is hosted by somebody else, but to build their own, local cloud, as some people call it, and sell that, access to that on a usage-based, a consumption-priced basis to their clients. If you're going to do that, if you see an opportunity to sell consumption-priced data center infrastructure to your customers from your own private cloud, one of the biggest barriers would be getting that infrastructure in place, which is normally going to be a giant capital expense up front. And you're going to be billing the customers, monthly over time. So how do you kind of deal with that gap in there? And this is what the Lenovo program is going to be designed to do. It will essentially allow a Lenovo data center partner to purchase data center infrastructure and pay for it through monthly installments, basically with a lease. So I believe it's a 5-year term going into this. So whatever it is, if you're buying $100,000, $200,000 worth of data center gear, you're going to pay for that over the course of that 5 years in 60 monthly installments. And that's going to make it a lot easier for you to get this business off the ground and to make the payments as you're collecting that money from your customers. A few other kind of interesting things about it. There is some upgrade protection built into it. So, I mean, 5 years in the world of servers, for example, is a long time. But if you assign one of these deals with Lenovo and the processor manufacturer, that supply the chip in the server that you bought, they come out with a new generation of technology. There's a new Intel or AMD or NVIDIA chip. You will get access to that processor upgrade at no additional cost. That's kind of built into the terms of the contract. Lenovo has relationships with software makers. They specialize in hardware, obviously, but they have very strong relationships with Microsoft and VMware and Veeam and Red Hat and others. And so they're going to be offering software from some of their alliance partners on a discounted basis. So you can save a little bit of money there too, and kind of build that into the offer that you roll out to your customers. And then any discount that you are eligible for as a Lenovo data center partner ordinarily when you're purchasing hardware as a capital expense upfront, you're going to get that discount on this as well. So we're seeing the big hardware manufacturers, both on the client side and in the data center side, rolling out these as a service offerings. HPE, for example, has had their GreenLake platform for several years now, which is purchased similarly on an as a service basis. Late in 2019, Dell introduced an as a service option, both on the data center side and on the client side. So a lot of momentum in the hardware industry for this kind of purchasing option, and kind of an interesting entry into that field from Lenovo now.
Yeah, I think it's it's just another step forward to enabling this kind of consumption based service model and purchasing model that all of the MSPs eschew and look forward to. I mean, this is big news for an MSP that has been basically referring um, hosting business to another vendor, or perhaps reselling those services, and making a little bit more profit. The highest profit margin that you're going to get building these public and private and hybrid clouds, Rich, as you know, is when you own the infrastructure. So this gives the MSP now the ability to compete for that highest margin of cloud service, because they now can own the infrastructure without that huge capital investment. Again, allowing them to pay as they go to build their revenue streams, more profitably as they continue to add and migrate more and more clients. It's interesting. I had a client several years ago that was migrating all of their they had a data center infrastructure um, in place, and were migrating off of it to Azure or AWS or something like that. They just, the cost of maintaining that infrastructure and that capital investment for refresh every 3 to 5 years was killing them. So this would have been, a very attractive option for them to, kind of replace that. And I love the additional benefit of, if some technology within the box gets upgraded, then you get to get that refreshed as well along the way. So it's kind of future proofing it over time as well.
It is, and I mean, you hit on a really critical point there that Lenovo certainly emphasizes, which is just the idea that this is not hardware that you're sort of buying subscription access to or something. This is hardware that you own. This is your hardware, and that means if you are selling access to it to your customers, you're not sharing margin with somebody else. This is your asset. You can sell it for whatever price you think you can get out there in the market, and it maximizes your profit. There are obviously some associated expenses in terms of housing and operating and managing the technology and so on. So this is not necessarily for everyone, but for somebody who wants to have a local cloud as a service kind of offering for their customers, this would be a margin maximizing way to go about it.
Yeah, and some clients want their own private cloud, and they don't want shared hosting and things like that. I've had a conversation with a potential client this morning, having that conversation where they actually specialize because they have one client that wants their own hardware, their own private cloud. They don't want to share it. So if they didn't, if they weren't able to defray the cost of that themselves, they probably would have lost that client. And here's an opportunity for more MSPs to see that and use that as a selling point, a unique value proposition to clients that want their own hardware, they want their own private cloud. They can certainly do that now, without potentially losing that client because they don't have the ability to invest in that infrastructure. Now they can, again, pay by the drink, pay as you go.
Well, you know what? This is certainly it sounds like a good idea, Eric, from what we know about it so far, but it might not be a perfect idea. And that the distinction between those two has something to do with your tip of the week.
It certainly does, Rich. Again, kind of, just taken from conversations and strategies I've been having recently with partners that, have waited to release a new product or service, or engage in a new strategy or move forward with something because it's not yet perfect. And this is one of those things where perfect is the enemy of good or even great. And some partners think that, they've got to build a data center before they sell Microsoft Office 365 licenses. Not really, right? You can get to a good or great solution 80% of a strategy relatively quickly, Rich. But what we find is that last 20% that doesn't add that much value to the strategy sometimes takes 2, 3, or 4 times longer to accomplish, if it ever gets accomplished, than it took to get to that first 80%. So I'm here to say, listen, if you've got a good plan and you're 80% there, or a good strategy, go to market. And if you have to tweak and tune to get the rest of that 20%, do it after you've launched. I have a client today that is waiting to release their brand new security bundling and offering until they've achieved some sort of internal NIST compliance. And when I ask them, well, what percentage of your clients will require that? Oh, just a very, like, 2 or 3 of them. And I say, why are you waiting? All the rest of your clients, 110 of them, need the rest of this offer that you can deliver for them and manage their security risk, but you're waiting until you achieve this internal competency. You can outsource for those 3 clients for now and deliver that security package that they need, that compliancy service. I'll help you and introduce you to the vendors that can help you with those folks, but you are waiting for this thing to be perfect. You have a great offering right now for the vast majority of your clients. Go to market now.
Yeah, the key thing what you're talking about there, you use the words good and great, not good enough, right? Like you're not talking about a compromise in a
Right.
or rushing something out that isn't ready yet. These the real example you cited there are hypothetical ones. These are 100% market ready offerings. They're just not at the ultimate point of perfection. A complete 100% realization of the vision. And economists refer to the opportunity cost in a situation like this, which is the money you lose by not getting out to market now is the opportunity cost of being a perfectionist in this kind of a scenario. And there's really no reason, as you're saying, there's no reason to incur that cost. You've got something that's ready to go. In the case of your customer, for almost all of their clients, go to market, get it out there, and by all means, if you can take it that last 20%, do that later. But you don't have to wait until you've reached the 100% mark to begin profiting from this hard work and good idea.
You're right, Rich. I'm not saying deliver something that's not ready for market. I'm saying if you're waiting for it to be perfect, you may never get it out the door, right? And if you're talking about waiting for something to impact 100% of your client base, when you've got something that can impact 97% of your client base right now, I think, that's just the level of trying to reach perfection that is unrealistic. There's that Will Ferrell movie where he's a race driver when there's a line in the movie that says, well, if you're not first, you're last. Well, I don't know if that's true, but, there are competitors of yours that are taking market share right now, while possibly are waiting for something to be absolutely perfect. And you know what? That's a moving target. What's perfect today may not be perfect 3 months from now. You know what I mean? So my encouragement is just to go out there and deliver great service to your clients. If it's not perfect, you can find ways for those clients that need something different by outsourcing it. And then when you do achieve whatever it is that you think is perfection within your organization, then you can bring that service back in yourself and deliver it directly. So I'm just using a very, you know, simple example that I think a lot of partners uh, can connect with.
Absolutely. Yep. And that leaves us with time for just one more story this week, folks. It's coming to you just a little bit too late, just after Valentine's Day. So you'll have to kind of keep these things in mind maybe for next year. But, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Eric, on an earlier episode of the 5 Minute Roundup, we talked around the time of Valentine's Day about one of these offers where a zoo enabled you to name a mouse, I think, after
Yep.
your ex spouse or significant other, and then have that fed to a snake. There's more
Yep.
stuff like that going on out here in 2021, which could be available again in 2022. For example, the San Antonio Zoo, for just $5, folks, was willing to name a cockroach after your former significant other and feed it to a bird, reptile, or mammal. Excuse me. It's part of the zoo's Cry Me a Cockroach event, which took place on Valentine's Day. And by the way, if you're really willing to shell out, or if you were, for $20, they would feed a frozen rat to a reptile instead. That's sort of the upgrade package. And then there was another great sort of Valentine's Day promotion from the Nash County Sheriff's Office in Nash County, North Carolina, where they were encouraging people to turn in their significant others if that person you have bitter feelings about maybe has an outstanding warrant. What better way to recognize them for Valentine's Day than to turn them in to the Nash County Sheriff's Office? And it's a package, a gift package that comes with bracelets and transportation, chauffeur-driven transportation, food brought to you 3 times a day. It's a lovely thing to do for somebody.
Well, I tell you, Rich, I'm not sure if that's appealing to our better angels. These new Valentine's Day offers, I don't know, I don't know. They're very vengeful, I think.
Creative, certainly creative, but yeah, a little dark. So that is all the time we've got this week on the 5 Minute Roundup. Folks, thank you so much for joining us. If you like the show, you want to maybe take a look at some episodes in the past that you didn't see, keep up with the new ones when they become available, best thing to do is go to the ChannelPro Network channel on YouTube and become a subscriber. If you click the little bell icon on the page there, you'll get notifications when the new episodes go up. You want to read more about Lenovo's forthcoming MSP purchasing program, or just see what else is happening in the news, learn all sorts of great things about growing your business, please visit channelpronetwork.com every day, because we have got terrific new content for you going up there every day. To learn more about Eric and the work he does with his clients, your destination should be ericksimpson.com. That is ERICK Simpson.com. Once again, thank you for joining us very much, folks. We're going to be back again next week with another episode of the 5 Minute Roundup for you. Until then, please enjoy the rest of your week. Eric and I are enjoying the rest of your week already.
Already.